Hello, everybody. Can you hear me? I'm trying to figure out why my camera won't go on. And I'm not seeing any reason. So we're going to have to do this without my camera. So I am here. You can ask me anything about what's going on to prove that I am here and I am live. My microphone seems to be working. Yeah, it is. And hopefully you can hear me clearly. So just in case this happens again, I'm going to be a little bit more ready. This is the very first live I've ever done. And I will have a picture or something instead of just this camera with a line through it. I'm not sure how to do that. It's saying I don't have access to any of the features, such as the webcam. The light is on for the webcam. Picture is going out to someone, so maybe you can see me and I just can't. But this live stream is about 6 units that I have available in Sonora, California. And if you don't know where that is, right about the middle of the gold country in California, which is primarily Highway 49. That was named after the 49ers, of course, which was the people who came in 1849 to mine for gold. And Sonora, where I live, was a huge mine for placer mining and for hard rock mining. And it's a very popular vacation destination. There are really very few people who live here. And most of the people who do move here move from the more populated cities along the coast and in the valley. Interesting things have happened over the past several years that has made this a tremendously good area to invest in real estate. And I'm sure no matter where in the world you are, you've heard some of these things, but you might not be aware of them as those of us who live here are. The local forests have not been properly managed since the mid 70s. And that's because of what mountain folk used to call, and I guess they still do, call them tree huggers. People who say don't ever cut down a tree. And the problem with that is we're not a rainforest. We are a quasi desert forest. That means that we do get rain, but only for a very small portion of the year. This year has been an amazing year for rain and snow. It's my understanding it's the second deepest snowpack on record. And remember, records have only been kept for the past 80 to 120 years, which is not very long. So undoubtedly, there have been much bigger snow years than this. This snow year was much deeper than, for instance, the snow year where the Donner Party got caught. That wasn't as deep as what we have this year. The snowpack is so deep that 2 weeks ago we had 3 or 4 warm days, and that ended up in Yosemite being closed for 4 or 5 days because of flooding. The snow was melting and coming out down over all the waterfalls and going into the river, and it just flooded the entire Yosemite Valley. So they evacuated everybody. I think 2 days before the incident started, they were seeing the rivers um, getting more and more full, and decided that they better get everybody out. And so they did. Everybody had to leave, and they were right on with their. Actually, they were a little bit off with their estimate of when the valley would flood. It flooded much earlier than they expected, so it's a good thing they evacuated everybody and closed the park 2 days before, because one day before they estimated it would be flooded was when it actually got flooded. The cold weather came back, and it's still here. We're getting uh, cold rain with higher level snow. And so they were expecting that the park would reopen on Wednesday. It actually reopened the previous Monday. So it closed down a day earlier and opened up 2 days earlier. And I don't know if that bores you a lot or why I would even be talking about Yosemite National Park, but we are right at the northwest entrance to Yosemite National Park. And so many of you who have come to see the park have come through Sonora and up to the valley floor. Now, the valley floor in the park is above 4,000 feet elevation. So it's quite a bit higher elevation than what we are here in Sonora. Sonora City Hall sits at about 1,800 feet elevation. And Sonora goes down, it starts before that at maybe 200 or 300 feet below that. So that would be, no, 15, that town. So 1,600 feet elevation to just below 2,000 feet elevation. The only incorporated city in Tuolumne County is Sonora, and the city has a little less than 5,000 population, so it's not large. An area known as East Sonora, which goes from the city boundaries of Sonora up to, I'm kind of thinking Mona Vista. They might even be considering it higher than that. And Mona Vista is at 2,500 to 2,800 feet elevation. I'm not positive on that. So, as you can maybe tell, Sonora is quite a steep area. There are a few level areas, but not very many. And the property that I'm talking about is on one of those steep lots. All of the records for this piece of property have been lost by the city. And so there are no records that I've been able to find anywhere. I did go to I didn't go to them, I called them. Historical Society, and they found one photo of the lot in 1897, and the lot was completely empty. And then they found another photo of the lot in 1907, and the duplex was here. And so, sometime between those two dates was when the duplex was built. So I just tell people 1900. It's easier. I don't know when. It was sometime during that decade, though. The duplex is a very interesting building. The lower unit is a 2-bedroom, very good size, very large rooms. The only small room is a bathroom, but it's not that tight. Two people could stand side by side and brush their teeth, but then there wouldn't be any room for somebody to go over and use the toilet, which you probably wouldn't want to happen while you're brushing your teeth anyway. All the rest of the rooms are large. The closets, as is customary for that age, are tiny. So if you wanted to rent that and wanted large closets, you would need to bring in an armoire or something. I have never had a complaint about the small closets. I've owned it since 1984. So I've owned it for a very, very long time. Then on the top of the lot, so the duplex was built facing Shepherd Street. And the next street east is Beretta Street. And that's where the fourplex was built. From the roof of the duplex to the floor of the lowest unit is probably 30 or 40 feet. So you can tell it's quite a big distance up the hill. I mean, that's how steep these lots are. And the fourplex was built sometime in the early 70s. And then there was a fire on the north half, as also sometime during the late 70s. And that was rebuilt. So 2 units on the north side of the building are newer than the units on the south side of the building. They are very typical 70s construction. So they have fairly large rooms. The smallest room would be the dining room. There is enough room in the dining room to put a nice oval table that would seat probably 6 people. Any more than that, and I think it would get a little bit too tight. The closets are large. One of the bedrooms has a full width reach-in closet. So I'm guessing that would be 12 or 13 feet long. So that's not a bad size closet. Then the other bedroom, which is actually the same size, just shaped differently, has a walk-in closet. And so most people consider that to be the main bedroom. On the north side, those main bedrooms have a back door. On the south side, they don't. That's one of the differences. Another difference doesn't have anything to do with the construction of the building, just the people who live in it. This didn't happen with any pre-planning. It just happened that the majority of the time, the units on the north side of the building are women, and the units on the south side of the building are men. Now, the men have just moved in, and they seem to be wanting to spend the rest of their lives there. So you've definitely got some men who are going to be very loyal, pay on time, no complaints guys. And they've just been my mainstay. On the north side, they move in and out a lot. They get a boyfriend and move in with him. A new woman will take that bedroom. Um, both of them will move out, and sometimes we'll get a couple in there. But usually it's just a couple of women who want to be roommates, who've known each other for a long time. Now, apartment number one, which is on the north side, is the top apartment on the north side. Uh, Two women moved in as roommates. Oh gosh, I, 2 or 2.5, possibly 3 years ago. I probably should have looked up their rental agreement to have that information at my fingertips. And one of them moved out, I'm thinking about 6 months ago. And her roommate initially struggled a little bit to pay the rent, but she finally figured out her budget, or um, got a job that paid better. I don't really know. I don't try to get very deep into their lives. All I expect is for them to be decent people who don't have the cops called on them all the time and pay their rent on time. And of course, that's what's happened. Now she has decided that she's going to move out on May 16th, and I have her 30-day notice in her file. So that's official. And the apartment downstairs has a single woman with, I think, 2 daughters. And she is the newest tenant there. Now, in the little blurb that I wrote down, I called this property a unicorn property. Over the past 5 or so years, this part of California has had some very major, devastating fires, and entire towns have burned down. If you're Paradise, California, that's not very far from here. But this part of California lost close to 500,000 residential units. And this past year, I saw a news item saying that this part of California this past year built 1,500 dwelling units. And they just thought that was really exciting. I think it's devastating. Oh my gosh. There isn't any place for people to live. That's really sad for people. It really breaks my heart that there's so many people who can afford a nice apartment and there just isn't anything for them anywhere. I'm not talking about Sonora. I'm talking about Tuolumne County, Mariposa County to the south, Calaveras County to the north, Amador County north of them. There is zero vacancy factor. We don't even have to advertise, and we don't even have to tell our neighbors. As soon as somebody sees that you're cleaning an apartment, they find you. They figure out how to get a hold of you, and they get a hold of you. I do a little bit more than that. We have a local Facebook group, Sonora for Rent, and I posted in there. This last one I didn't. She contacted me, and I just really wanted to be part of her getting a place for herself and her kids. I wanted, it's a struggle when it's hard enough being a single mother, but being a single mother with 2 children and trying to couch surf, you've got plenty of money to rent a place. She paid me well in advance, actually, just to make sure, hey, Rob, I want to make sure that I can live here forever. Here's a few extra months rent. I just want to stay way ahead so that I don't fall behind. And that's good. That's good if you're just learning what your expenses are going to be. She hasn't had an apartment for a long time. I don't remember how long, but it's been a long time since she's had an apartment. So she's going to have to figure out what expenses are and stuff like that. So that's why this is such a unicorn property, because there isn't anything to rent. Because there isn't anything to rent, rents are a little bit high, and they're not going down anytime soon. In fact, they're still going up. And because of that, landlords aren't settling. Everybody is wanting to buy. So there's a backlog of buyers out there, and a backlog of people wanting to rent. And there's nothing available to buy, and there's nothing available to rent. So that's why I decided it. I didn't list it for sale or anything. I actually put it on Zillow, and I'm getting a lot of contacts every day. The majority of them, though, seem to be wholesalers. Wholesalers can be a very, very good thing, because a wholesaler typically will have buyers in his pocket who are looking for real estate. And all he does is go out and find the real estate and then sell it to them. And then he's in the middle and makes a profit. So those are buyers that a seller might not otherwise find. And if they're offering a decent price for the property, then it's a really good deal for everybody. The seller, which would be me, makes plenty of money. And the wholesaler, in between me and his buyer, he makes money. And the buyer still can either get a good deal or get it at market price. So, it can be good for everybody. In this case, though, it's not. These guys have decided they want too big a bite of the apple. I have this property listed at $797,500. There's, I figured if I updated the kitchens and bathrooms in the fourplex, then the property would be worth about 950, maybe more. Uh, an opportunity came up for me, and I would really like to have that more than I would like to have all that extra money. And so I decided that I would price it at a fire sale price. And they've decided that they're going to come in, 100 grand less, and then wait and try to find a buyer for the property. It seems like none of them have a buyer in their pocket. They're just going to tie it up for me so that I can't sell it. I can't do anything with it while they go out and try to find a buyer. Well, I think I'm better at that than they are, since I live on the property. And I've lived in Tuolumne County since 1982. I have more contacts than they do. Also, despite the fact that I couldn't figure out how to turn on my camera, I'm really pretty good at technology. And so I thought with the right technology, I would also be better equipped than they would. So in this instance, and really more than half, I would think, of the instances, I actually used to teach this. I've been an investor a real estate investor since 1972, and I've been a real estate agent since 1984. Yeah, same year I bought this property. And um, then I let my license go a year ago because I'm getting older and I just want to retire. Well, then this opportunity came up and decided, okay, well, I'll sell this property. I had decided I would never sell it. I would live here forever. Well, like I said, a really amazing opportunity came for me. And I really want to take advantage of that. So, my best way to take advantage of that opportunity would be by selling this property and moving my profit from this into my new opportunity. So that's why this property is for sale. And I can see that nobody has shown up to ask any questions. So this will remain live on my YouTube channel. So I will do a little marketing and let people know about it. And I'm going to go ahead and set up live streams probably 2 or 3 times a week. The best times for me, if you want to make a note of it, would be Tuesday morning and Thursday morning. Saturday mornings once in a while. So I will plan Tuesday and Thursday in advance. This has just, um, been a really quick decision to go ahead and go live. I was working and I thought, well, you know what? I could take an hour out of my day, set this up, talk to people for half an hour, and then go back to work. So that's what I did. I see that I've been online now for almost 27 minutes, and that's long enough. If you want to get a hold of me, this is probably pretty easy to remember. Angel at angelscamp.com. That's the email address you'll use. The just to the north of us is Angels Camp, and they're in Calaveras County. And I've owned their website, I think, for more than 20 years. It's been a long time. And, since I own the website, I can be anybody I want to site as far as email. So I do have quite a few email addresses on that site, but the one I love the most is Angel. So if you can remember Angels Camp, that's where the Mark Twain saw the jumping frog uh, fr- uh, contest that they did, and where everybody was gambling on which frog would jump the farthest, and wrote the first book that ever became popular for him, The Jumping Frogs of Calaveras. And so I own their website. And you can get a hold of me at angelscamp.com. Thank you very much. And I will see you Tuesday. Bye.